From UFOs to ghost and psychic powers, history is riddled with unexplained events. You can turn back now and learn the stuff they don't want you to know. Here are the facts. Over the past 40 years, the United States spent more than $2.5 trillion fighting a fluctuating but constant war. This war continues today. According to the Office of National Drug Control Policy, the U.S. government spent over $15 billion fighting drug use, smuggling, and distribution over 2010. This breaks down to a rate of approximately $500 per second. This war is not against another nation, and it ranges across both American continents. Tens of thousands of U.S. citizens will spend years or decades in prison because they have been convicted of participation. This is the war on drugs. The modern war on drugs took shape under Nixon with the creation of the Drug Enforcement Agency in 1973. This isn't the first time the U.S. legislated certain drugs. The Harrison Narcotics Tax Act, which regulated opiates, dates back to 1914. Since then, the U.S. has often tried to stop smugglers and punish drug users. To the mainstream, this war hasn't gone well. Despite increased funding and publicity campaigns like Just Say No, the U.S. is still the world's largest consumer of illegal drugs. An estimated 22 million citizens used some drugs once a month over 2009. Some drug legislation is controversial, but most believe the current laws could be improved. Some politicians, such as Kansas's Kasha Kelly or Virginia's Craig P. Blair, argue certain drug laws should be strengthened and tied to welfare programs. Others, such as former Reagan advisor Milton Friedman, think some drugs should be legalized or that laws should carry less severe sentences. Almost all agree the system is imperfect, except for some conspiracy theorists. They believe the system is working just fine and that the goal of the war on drugs was never to actually stop drug abuse. Here's where it gets crazy. The war on drugs is a popular aspect of numerous conspiracy theories. Usually, theorists argue the war is waged for a secret ulterior motive. In Dark Alliance, journalist Gary Webb alleged CIA agents protected Nicaraguan Contras who sold cocaine. In 1980s Los Angeles, distraught citizens blamed the FBI and the CIA for the crack epidemic. Other theorists believe some group has unduly influenced legislation, imposing mandatory sentences for drug-related crimes. The group in question is often described differently. Private prison corporations, for example, or shadowy networks of eugenicists. Others make a purely economic argument. The economy that has grown around this crusade against drugs is just more profitable. If laws are changed, then what happens to the jobs and trade based on this decades-old and growing industry? After all, the U.S. also has the world's highest incarceration rate, with 756 out of every 100,000 citizens incarcerated. About half of federal inmates are serving time for a drug-related offense. There's no denying it. Drugs are harmful, and addiction to a drug, whether illegal or legal, can have horrible consequences. The statistics for legal drugs are the most readily available. About 443,000 U.S. residents die each year from smoking, and 70,000 die due to alcohol. All sides believe there's no question drug laws are in place for a reason. But what is the reason exactly? For the mainstream, it's a matter of health and safety. Drugs aren't just dangerous for your health, they also finance criminals. But to conspiracy theorists, the drugs are part of something bigger, something the prison corporations and intelligence agencies don't want you to know.